Hi everyone. So I really did not think that I would be back filming today. I literally felt like I haven't stopped. I've been so busy and it's only Tuesday. Yesterday I went to and from Manchester for an event and today I had a training course. So I've been travelling and needless to say I look very, very tired, so please excuse these little eye bags going on underneath my eyeballs. So, I thought I would have a little sit down chatty video to explain what I've been up to. In particular, I want to talk about yesterday because, like I said, I was at an event and it was an Understanding Autism at Work event, and Agony Autie did a talk and it was amazing. And she is so lovely and so sweet and made me feel so validated as a person. So we are going to just go through a few of the things that she mentioned yesterday and what it's meant to me and my future sort of going forward. So Sara talked a lot about normalising subjugated autistic behaviour. So, a lot of people often tell people off or condemn them if they display certain types of behaviour that are deemed to be unacceptable. So, for example, sometimes I want to sort of do this, and people will comment about how I look stupid and about how it doesn't make sense and I look a bit crazy. And to me, that doing this or fiddling with something, so for example, I always have my chewy gem, one of my chewy gems with me at all times. Doing that regulates me. It calms me down. It prevents me from being overloaded. So being overloaded, basically, it feels like you're a computer and you've got Internet Explorer open and you have like 20 tabs on Internet Explorer open, and there's that one last tab that you open and it just makes it go boosh. That is what being overloaded feels like. That is what a meltdown feels like. And this can happen to me for numerous reasons. If you give me more than one task to do, that will more than likely result in me having a meltdown. If it's too loud, I will very often instantly go like this because it hurts. The noise hurts. Lighting as well. I very often get migraines with very strong light, but it also overwhelms us as well. Really sort of old fluorescent-y lights. I'm very aware they're there and they're very distracting and overwhelming because it's very stimulating, and any sort of overstimulation can cause a sensory overload and a meltdown. So that has happened a few times to me. What was also discussed yesterday was how autism has different profiles and what one person may experience, another person may not. So you've got to try and think of it as a sphere, and you're taking a chunk of pie out of the sphere. So autism could be one part of the pie, but then you could have ADHD traits, which is another part of the pie, OCD traits, and so on and so forth. So different people's spheres or pies vary. So for me, I would say my pie consists of autism. I think I have a few ADHD traits in terms of that I really struggle to pay attention. Really struggle. And I also think I have a little bit of OCD as well, because there are certain routines that I have to do, or panic about things. So if I'm cleaning the flat, I have to keep the flat clean and tidy, and things have to be in their place, or I think something's really bad going to happen. And I'm not really going to go into any intrusive thoughts or anything like that, because that's not the point of this video today. So we discussed that, and how employers, because the whole event was understanding autism at work, how employers can try and make the workplace more autism friendly. So things like having a very neutral, blank room that there's no input or stimulation for an autistic person to calm down, allowing an autistic person to wear ear defenders or earphones to block out any auditory input as well. Because I know for me, sometimes when I'm in work, I do have to wear my ear defenders. It hasn't happened very often, but there are some times where I just can't process anything unless I have them on, because there's too much input. Whether it's people chatting, or noises coming from people making cups of tea and things like that, I can pick up on it all, but I can't differentiate it. So if someone's trying to talk to me, which is really bad in an office, if someone's trying to talk to me, I can't pick up their voice out of everybody else, and the only way to really get my attention is to literally shout, "Jen!" And that will be the thing that sort of manages to get me to notice that someone is talking. So that's a little bit about that. Also with employers making the workplace more autism friendly, it's understanding that an autistic employee can get burnt out. They can get burnt out a lot easier than a neurotypical employee. What I mean by neurotypical is somebody who doesn't have a neurodiverse condition such as autism, ADHD, dyspraxia, dyslexia, dyscalculia, in that sort of remit. So we're taking in all this information, and our brains are wired differently. They're wired differently. So, like I say, imagine trying to open loads of tabs on Internet Explorer, and eventually that person will crack. They will crack and they will have a meltdown. So the best way to get the best out of somebody with autism is to give brief, short, but concise instructions, because then they'll process little bits of information at a time. I tend to find personally I work better if I do one task at a time, because if I don't, I get very flustered and I lose where I am. I cannot multitask for the life of me. I really can't do it. So that's a little bit about that. Then in the second half, we talked about sensory processing. So as I was saying, different things in work can affect the senses. So the lighting, I've mentioned the lighting. It can be very distracting, particularly in big office buildings where it is sort of older light bulbs, and no, can't do it. It gives me a headache all the time. Noise, I've mentioned. Textures. So textures is a big one for me. I love soft, fluffy things. I do. I love soft, fluffy, comfortable things. So for example, my cat, I love cuddling him because he's lovely and soft, even though sometimes he doesn't necessarily reciprocate. Sometimes he likes to try and get away from me, but that's another video that I kind of want to do. I'll lead on to that in a little bit. So, textures. One texture that I really cannot abide. I'm not the biggest fan of velvet. Back in the day, because I do actually own some velvet clothes, and the texture of it, I mean, they look really, really beautiful, the velvet items of clothing that I have, but I struggle to wear them, and as soon as I've finished wearing them, they're straight off, because it just overwhelms us with the texture of them. So there's texture, taste. So yet again, this kind of goes into texture a little bit in terms of what foods autistic people tend to like and eat. And by the way, I am making sort of generalizations. This will not apply to everybody. Everybody is an individual, and this is basically trying to cover the majority of bases, but if this doesn't apply to you, that's okay as well. So, taste. I tend to stick to the same foods a lot. So, I'm a big fan of a classic margherita pizza, gluten-free of course. I will eat margherita pizza. I will tend to eat burgers. I will tend to eat, I'm trying to think of healthy things I eat. Some pastas I enjoy. I like fruit, mainly bananas, strawberries, grapes. I like porridge. I like crumpets, but not too overdone. So one of my taste things is I will not eat anything that is too overly crunchy. Although I do enjoy nachos. I really enjoy nachos. But it has to have a lot of cheese on it. It has to be nice and warm, and I can do it if it's intentionally meant to be crunchy. But say if I overdo a crumpet, I won't eat it. I will not eat that overdone crumpet at all. So there's that. And smell. I have the smell of a bloodhound. I am always the first to comment about something to do with smell. So for example, if I'm at work and I can smell someone's cooked their lunch, I will be like, oh, who's had their food out? It smells really good. And I'll be the first one to notice. I'll be the first one to comment on it because I can really pick up on smells. And things like, so I'm still really bad with this, but if a bin needs taken out, I can really smell it and it's really gross. So I can instantly smell it. It can sometimes be distressing because it frustrates me. But yeah, that's a big thing that I have as well. And touch. So touch, if I am more than an acquaintance, so like if I'm a friend, or for example Joe, who's my boyfriend, I am more than happy to give you a hug. I am more than happy to like link arms with you, have you sitting beside us in quite close proximity, sort of thing. But if I don't know you and you're right in my personal space sitting next to me on the metro or a train, I will freak out because it feels like burning. That's what I would describe it as. It feels like somebody is burning. So I'm really bad with public transport. In the northeast we have metros, and when I get on a metro I have to sort of go like this to avoid people touching us, and I hate it. I hate being too close to people. I can't do it. I get very claustrophobic, and it feels very, very uncomfortable being so close. I'll tell you a story of when I was younger. My mum used to take me for my shoes at Clark's, and if you're a little bit squeamish, then I would just try and fast forward the video a little bit. I ended up screaming so much at the thought of a stranger measuring my feet, touching my feet, that I burst all the blood vessels in my neck. Because I was that distressed that a stranger was going to be in that close proximity to me. And this was probably when I was about 2-3 years old. And this went on until I was a bit older as well. I still felt uneasy. I didn't necessarily burst some blood vessels in my neck as I got older, but it still distressed us so much. Excuse me, my cat's under my dressing table at the moment. He's very cute. I will feature him in a video at some point. He's lovely. He's so sweet. I do want to do a whole video about him. I'll try and get him actually, if you don't mind. In fact, actually, he's not wanting to move from under here. Or is he? I don't know. If I get him, I get him. If I don't, I don't. So, we went through those sensory things, and it was so helpful. What I took from that event was, we are basically having our lives ruled by these concrete jungles, not suited and not safe for autistic people to function in. And we have to mask and deal with it. And that can have a really, really bad impact on your mental health. So, as I might have mentioned a few videos ago, I've actually had a medication increase. Not because of my job, but because when I'm coming home, I am overloading and I'm just too, can't really cope very well. So, I just wanted to go through that. So, I do have one more thing to say before we end the video, because this was just intended just to be like a chatty video about what I learned, what I took from the event. And Sara, if you're watching this, you did so well yesterday. You were incredible and you really, really inspired me. And I now feel ready to be my true, authentic self. No more masking. No more. I can't do it. Thank you for teaching me that my behaviour is okay. And thank you for making me feel valid, even though I am still waiting on my diagnosis and feel like such a fraud at the moment. Your talk really made a big impact on me yesterday, and I thought that you should know that. So, with that in mind, I'm going to end the video here. Next week, I've been hugely inspired by Indie Andy, and I'm going to do a little video with JJ in it, and I'm going to explain how JJ has helped me as an autistic person. That's going to be my video next week. It will be a little bit later like it was today, because I do have the same training course next week, but it's going to be the last day of the course. So, I hope everybody enjoyed that. I know it might not have been everybody's cup of tea, but I really, really wanted to film it. And I shall see you all next week. Bye, guys.